It's an interesting question because there still is that this team could miss the playoffs altogether or could seemingly make a run in the postseason because the American League is so weak.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsulias. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. With me, as usual, my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian, it's Friday again. How did that happen?
I don't know, but let's get ready for Fan Mail Friday. I'm sure this one will be a fun one.
Yeah, there's a theme. Everyone, you'll figure out the theme pretty soon when we start answering the questions. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified whenever our videos go live. We also have a TikTok account. You can follow us there at LockedOn_Yankees. So yeah, coming up on today's show, we preview the pitching matchups for the series this weekend against the Astros, because it's perfect timing for a series against the Astros for the Yankees. Yeah. But first, it's Fan Mail Friday, and if you are new, we do this every Friday. We answer your questions, and we have a group called the Locked On Yankees Insiders. They got top priority on Fan Mail Friday. Their questions are answered first, and the first person whose questions we answer every week is Betty, and this is Betty's question. Brian, you scared me a little on Wednesday's show. I worried about your blood pressure and a stroke. She also put ambulance and hospital emojis there in case you're not watching on YouTube. But you voiced everything I say day after day. I always say I'm done with them, but then I'm back the next day. I love that both of you are dedicated no matter what. So looking ahead to off-season moves, my question is, what moves will be made if we do well in the playoffs, and how will they be different if we don't make the playoffs or exit quickly? In parentheses, Boone needs to go either way.
Betty, I appreciate the concern. You're right. It is the most abusive relationship that I could find myself in because I keep coming back seemingly every night. I don't even take a few days off. Every night I'm back. It's horrible. It's an interesting question because there still is that this team could miss the playoffs altogether or could seemingly make a run in the postseason because the American League is so weak. I don't think it should change their option of what to do with the manager. It will, but I don't think it should. I think if they miss the playoffs, there's a legitimate chance that the outcry from the fan base would be so loud that Hal would almost have no option but to fire him. And I don't think he'd want to fire him, but I almost think you'd have no option because if they miss the postseason with a $330 million payroll, it's basically no injuries other than Garrett Cole and Giancarlo Stanton, who came back and played well. It's really hard to justify keeping that manager.
Well, and we keep forgetting about Luis Gil. Luis Gil was a big blow, too.
True. Yes. Yeah. But overall, they weren't decimated like the 2019 team. And for some reason, but if they make the playoffs, they're going to keep them anyway.
Yeah.
I know roster moves. Betty, I got to be honest with you. I don't know what roster moves there are to really make. Like, where's the glaring hole in this team? But where's the unbeknownst weak spot on this roster? There isn't one. Like there isn't one. That's what scares me the most about how bad they're playing is there is no glaring hole. There's no left field from 2 years ago. There's no third base from last year. It doesn't exist. So I don't know how you feel about that, Stacey, but that's what concerns me more is there's no glaring hole in this roster.
Yeah, and I think the offseason moves depend on what happens. If they make 100%. The playoffs, it's not going to be as dire of a situation, which is almost a detriment to them in a way because they're going to need stuff. And then if they don't make the playoffs, that actually might be a better scenario because then maybe they'll go out and replace or try to get better at certain positions that didn't perform the way they were supposed to in 2025 if they can upgrade there.
They're not in a terrific spot. No matter what happens, they're not in a great spot. David F. asks, in your opinion, is it more beneficial for the Yankees to have a designated closer or does the current approach at multiple options serve them better? Obviously, Williams should not be considered one of the options.
I mean, there is something to there being a designated closer because I think it's the same as, I know pitchers like to say in some cases, oh, it doesn't matter if I come out in the 7th or the 8th, I'll be ready. But I think, when you see the old Joe Torre bullpens. Like there was a set order. You knew who was coming in. And of course there were different like guys for different matchups and stuff, but you pretty much knew who you were going to see in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings. And it was just like clockwork. And that almost feels like how we always talk about how the lineup should be consistent. It feels like the bullpen should also be consistent for the most part. I could see switching out every once in a while, but I think there should be a main closer.
I actually agree with you. I maybe it's an old school, call me old school, but
yeah,
I like the old mindset. Even the 2016, 17, 15 teams of Betances, Miller, Chapman. I liked that rotation of you knew Betances was coming in the 7th. You knew Miller was the 8th. I almost feel like when you have that lineup, it becomes more daunting for the other lineup. Because the other lineup's looking at that and they know, oh, we're down in the 5th inning. We better score before the 6th or else it's over. Whereas when it's different guys coming in, you don't know who's going to have the yips that day and who's not going to be able to come through that day. So I kind of think it's more beneficial and more intimidating to have that just Godzilla approach towards the end of that game where it's like, we're not going to score on those 3 guys. So you better get scoring quicker.
Right. Next up, Matt V. Do the Yankees finally fire Boone if they miss the playoffs? Who would you like to see replace him? I'd like to see Dave Martinez. I know he was fired by the Nats, but he has experience. He's won a World Series. He's better at holding players accountable. His record in Washington is a bit skewed due to their rebuild.
Yeah, I actually don't hate that at all. I do think if they miss the playoffs, they're going to have to fire Boone. It's just, there's just going to be too much of an uproar, and you can't face missing the playoffs 2 out of 3 straight years with the Yankees. It's just not acceptable.
No.
If they make the playoffs, he's safe. I don't hate Dave Martinez. Another one, you don't know who's going to be available yet because the guy's going to get fired, obviously, too. So there is that aspect, too. One that I kind of like, Stacey, I'd like to hear your opinion. David Ross got fired by the Cubs, but it kind of started this Cubs turnaround since the World Series years. Kind of turned this thing around and started the upswing until they hired Counsell. I wouldn't hate that either. Fun guy, would keep it loose in the clubhouse, wasn't afraid to criticize guys, but does have the analytical mind. I wouldn't hate that hire at all. Also, I think a candidate, he made an media appearance for the first time yesterday, who would be a great manager, Anthony Rizzo. The guys in that clubhouse love him, and he knows how to keep things loose, and he's a great baseball mind. I think that could be a future manager for sure.
Yeah, I would just rather have Anthony Rizzo be manager after he's managed already. I don't want to go to another guy who's never managed before, but who's been around baseball his whole life, like Boone. Because what
about David Ross?
I don't mind that because I need someone with experience. We can't do another Boone.
I don't hate that. I actually, especially with the position they're in as a franchise right now, where you're trying to win right now. You're in the last couple of years of Cole and Judge. It's the next manager is so crucial because it's the last chance you have of getting a World Series with this core. Ruben says, until today, the Yankees have played Goldie against lefties and righties. My guess is that Boone wanted defense to scoop bad throws by Vulpi. Do you think Ben Rice should play every day at first base or catcher?
Catcher.
Agreed.
Wells is not doing anything. Wells' WAR, his B WAR is minus 0.2.
And Rice has actually been good at catcher this year.
Yeah,
and Wells has not thrown guys out. His framing has been bad.
Right. His pitch calls aren't really that, like, he's not calling great games either. Like, you saw guys having more success with Escara behind the plate, and you're seeing guys a little more comfortable with Rice behind the plate. Wells is just lost in every aspect of the game this year.
It's upsetting because there was a lot of confidence in Wells coming into this year too. So it's really upsetting what his year has become.
We actually have a question about Wells in our YouTube questions, so we'll hold off more Wells discussion, but we'll get into that. Next question from Eric S. Question: love the podcast and commiserating and hopefully celebrating with fellow Yankee fans. If they miss the playoffs and both Cashman and Boone leave, what are your choices to replace both? So we already went through Boone, but is there anyone really available to replace? Well, who's out of a job now?
Brian Cashman has more job security than a Supreme Court justice. So
yeah, they have a lot of job security.
Yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere. Honestly, I don't think they'd fire him. I think the only way Brian Cashman ever leaves this job is he has to step aside. I don't think they're firing him. I genuinely don't.
That's not happening.
It's not at $10 million a year. It's not at his age. No chance. Honestly, the guy they would have to replace is probably someone out of the Dodgers organization, the Rays, the Padres, a heavily analytical organization that is an assistant GM or an assistant analytics developer or something, where they pay him a boatload of money and you've never heard his name before, and he comes in. That's what's going to happen. Like, I know you guys don't want to hear that, and you want to hear some big time GM, and you want to hear Billy Bean, or you want to hear them go out and pay and name big time Dombrowski. They're not doing that. It's going to be some no name that you've never heard of that comes from the Rays or the Dodgers, who's an analytical developer, who's a high name in inside baseball circles that they pay $12 million a year to, and comes in to math everything up. That's what happens. That's what's going to happen. The last one for this segment, Malachi, as always. Welcome back, Malachi. What is your favorite type of candy? God, I love this kid. Just way to loosen it up.
Well, favorite type, I guess I like candy bars out of all candy. I prefer,
Let's go specific.
Snickers. Snickers has been my favorite since I was a kid. Although frozen Milky Ways were my favorite thing in the summer. My mom would get a bunch of Milky Ways, put them in the freezer, and we come out of the pool and have frozen Milky Ways. Yeah.
See, I agree with you. I think you're on the right track with the peanut butter chocolate combination, but I think you missed the ball. I think undisputed the best candy out there is Reese's.
Oh,
I don't
like
think
Reese's.
There's anything better than a Reese's peanut butter cup. I don't think you could find much better.
Also, Debbie asked a question, but we're not really going to answer it. But she said for fun if we had time. But no, I don't think they purposely scheduled Old Timers Day with the Yankees playing the Astros. I think it just happened to fall there. That wasn't a plan.
I agree with you.
Yeah, that wasn't a planned thing. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notifications so you know when our videos go up. And if you'd like to be part of next week's Fan Mail Friday, join the Insiders Club, or you can go to YouTube, go to our channel's page, click on posts, and leave your question under the Fan Mail Friday post. You can ask us anything. And my suggestion to you is to see what everyone else asked, because I had to eliminate some questions this week. I'm telling you right now, because there was a lot of redundancy. You're going to see the theme of this episode, understandable with the way the Yankees have played, but there are a lot of Boone questions that I had to cut out because we can't do an hour-long show. So for next week, just make sure you look at other people's questions before you submit them. And again, join the Insiders Club. The link is in the description. It isn't only for Fan Mail Friday, but for Fan Mail Friday, you get top priority. For non-Fan Mail Friday perks, you get text from us with everything from the lineups to roster moves, trades, and signings. And you can text us questions, comments, and reactions to the games. There's a 14-day free trial. Coming up, we have more Fan Mail Friday questions, and more of them are about Aaron Boone. So we'll do those next.
We've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. And that's where Gametime comes in. Gametime makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. The prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. Are you tired of endless scrolling, just trying to find the best deal? Gametime's Zone Pick help to get the best seats in the section for you. You ever wonder what your view will look like before you buy the tickets? The app allows you to have a panoramic seat view, so there are no surprises. And with Gametime, the price you see is the price you pay. There are no hidden fees. Just take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets and show tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app today, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. So, Stacey, we enter this second segment to welcome you into the YouTube portion of our Fan Mail Friday episode. Let's go to Todd Stewart 4703. He says, looking ahead to the offseason, what do you think is the biggest problem that needs to be fixed with the front office of the team? Does Boone or Cashman need to go? And also, do you think the Steinbrenner family would ever sell the team? And would that even make a difference? I'm not saying that would happen in the offseason, just wondering if it ever would happen.
Just a note, I left out Todd's question on last week's show, and I realized it as I was editing. I made the graphic and everything, and so we're answering it this week. So, Todd, I apologized on YouTube. I'm apologizing again. I'm so sorry. I don't know how that happened. They're not selling the team anytime soon. They make too much money.
Not anytime soon, but I do think there's a chance it would happen in the future with the price of sports teams just going up and up and up. Yeah. Look at what people are paying. I mean, the Lakers just got $10 billion. So the number the Yankees would get is astronomical, especially compared to what their father paid for it.
When you see how much he paid for it in 1973 and how much it's worth now, it's people don't realize how much a billion is. 1 billion. It's 100. It's a lot. It's a lot of money.
And they'd get at least, I think if they sold it tomorrow, they'd get at least $12 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's nuts. I don't think it's anytime soon though.
No.
They're too, all of them are too young. They're not interested in that market yet.
Yeah, they are relatively young. Hal is not that much older than me, right? I think he was born in possibly 1969, so he's only 5 years older than me.
And I think it still is like they still do. He's 55. I think they still enjoy the pomp and circumstance of owning the New York Yankees. He likes being at events and wearing a fancy suit, and he doesn't care about winning, but he likes having all those like accolades that go with owning the New York Yankees. Yeah. When he's older and doesn't care anymore, he'll get rid of the Yankees and sell them for $1 zillion.
Yeah. Next question is from Craig M6474. Hi, Stacey and Brian. Thank you for keeping us informed and entertained. You're very welcome. You may have answered this before, but do you think the next manager of the Yankees should be someone without previous ties to the team? How much was the home run in 2003 a reason behind the Boone move? I'd love for Mattingley to manage the team, but I don't see it happening. Thanks for taking my questions, Craig.
They're not going Mattingley. If they had a chance for Mattingley, they've had plenty of chances and they've chosen not to. And honestly, you're a big Don Mattingly fan, so I'd like to hear your response on this. You don't always want legendary franchise figures to take those jobs.
No.
The only thing that could happen, because these jobs end with you getting fired.
Right.
The only thing that can happen for Don Mattingly is it to soil his reputation as a Yankee.
Right.
That's the only thing that can happen. It's not going to, he can win a World Series. He can win 2 in a row. And then if he has losing years the next 5 years, you'll all hate him. And then he'll get fired and leave. And then his reputation ends soured. I don't know about you. You're a big Don Mattingly fan. You actually watched him play. I don't think it would be a good move to have him manage the team.
No, I think the best choice for manager is not necessarily the superstar of the team, but someone who's like secondary or tertiary in that lineup,
100%.
Where someone did play baseball for a while, but they weren't the focus of the team. Because in that case, it wouldn't be a case like this where your reputation and your legacy gets tarnished by how you perform as a manager.
So I brought up go ahead.
I wouldn't mind, like, not that he'd be a manager, but if it were someone like a Pat Kelly, who like was a guy that fans liked, but he wasn't Don Mattingly. Superstar. Like, Don Mattingly and Dave Winfield, those were the two dudes in the 80s. And, people, meaning me and my brother, we battled over our favorite players, and I would rather it be someone like that or someone from like some random guy from the 2000s who was a part of the team, but wasn't a superstar. And if that person became a manager and they were good at it, I would rather them do it.
I also want to bring up a good point too, because he brought up this in the statement of what you wanted someone that has ties to the Yankees. Anthony Rizzo, as I mentioned earlier, is doing media around town, and he basically had an interview where he said the problem when he got to the Cubs originally is there were guys that worked for that franchise for years and years and years that did things, and their response to why they did things that were very unconventional is, oh, well, that's how we've always done it. Mm-hmm. And Anthony Rizzo's response to that was, well, the way we've always done it is attached to losing for 100 years. So maybe change it up a little bit. I would like someone who's not attached to the Yankee franchise, who's not expected to win every year and not expected to World Series or bust. And that mindset isn't ingrained in their mind. I don't think someone with the mindset of like Derek Jeter, for example, is healthy for this organization at the moment right now. They have to get out of that mindset of it's World Series or bust every year and stop saying that and just let the players go in there and play freely. Stop putting this target on your back and these large expectations in spring training. And let them just play baseball. So I think having someone that's not attached to that Yankee way and Yankee mantra would probably be a good thing. This question comes from Aragonoski 6527. I know Brian.
It's Ari Ganonsky.
All right, I can't stand these YouTube questions. Honestly, with the name being in one word, it's so confusing. Yeah. Ari Ganonsky, I'm very sorry for not pronouncing your name properly. It's just tough when it's one word, all right? I know Brian is a New York Rangers fan, so I'll make the following comparison. Watching this Yankees team reminds me of the past Rangers season. Thanks for reminding me, Ari. The Rangers had a ton of talent, got off to a hot start, but at some point, players checked out, stopped playing for Laviolette. Do you think that's the case with this Yankee team? They have a lot of talent, go off to a hot start, but it looks like they've checked out and stopped playing for Boone. Wow. Thanks for that comparison, Ari.
I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility because they do some of them do actually look like they're checked out or they're pressing too much. And then it's just snowballing into bad results. You can't go 1-5 on a road trip against the Marlins and the Rangers. You just can't. And think that your team is any good because we mentioned the numbers the other day. They played over 600 ball for the first 2 months. And since then they've played somewhere between 480 and 450 ball. Like, it's just terrible how bad they've played lately. And it does feel like they're checked out. It feels like Boone is just saying things, going through the motions in the post game. Like, oh yeah, we're good enough to get on a roll. When that happens, I'm not sure. Well, hi, it's August. And when are you going on a roll?
Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the perfect comparison, Ari. The Rangers started off last year really hot, got bored. There's superstar talent on this team. There's Stanley Cup expectations. They'd missed the postseason. I hope it doesn't happen with the Yankees, but it looks like they could easily be on that path right now. And I don't think they're listening to the manager because I think when the manager repeats the same thing year after year after year, and this happens year after year, the message starts getting old. And the best managers in the history of sports always change their message. And Boone seems to never do that.
Next question is from Rainman530. Let's be real. As much as we all want the Yankees to fire Boone, it'll never happen. They never fire a manager. They only move on after the contract is up, at least lately. We discussed that on the show the other day. That said, under Boone, do you think defensive drills every day would clean this up, or would it take a new type of coach? A new manager makes too much sense, so the Yankees will never go for it.
I'll tell you this, Rainman, defensive drills are something that not a single team in Major League Baseball does. That's not a thing they do. Their defensive games are shored up and polished up at this point. Like in spring training, they do that when they return to camp and stuff. In the middle of the regular season, they're not lining up taking ground balls. That's not how Major League teams operate. So I know you'd like to think that. That's not how they operate. So I don't think that would change anything.
Yeah.
Let's squeeze this one in. Guardian FE says, you can replace Boone, but you have to replace him with yourself. You get paid however much you currently make from Locked On and whatever else you do as your Yankees salary. Do you take it?
No, that's not enough money. I would need to, if I'm going to be the Yankees manager, I want to make at least $500K a year.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think, You're not making that here?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Not yet. I wouldn't want to be manager. I don't have enough. I mean, obviously, I don't have enough experience. I never even played. I wasn't allowed to play softball because this eye doesn't work. So, and I, in a rebellious streak, because I was old enough to do it on my own, signed up to play lacrosse in high school, which that's a ball you don't want flying at your face when you only see with one eye. But I did it anyway. And I couldn't even, I wanted to do Little League and my dad wanted me to do it. And my mom just would not allow it because I'm a righty. The ball's coming from the side where I can't see.
Yeah, not a good combo.
She just had nightmares of me getting bopped in the face. So, I don't have enough experience. I've watched baseball long enough to be able to complain about managing, but I could never do it.
Yeah, I think it's a little different than actually managing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it either.
Coming up, more Fan Mail Friday questions from our YouTube viewers, and we preview the much anticipated series between the Yankees and Astros next.
This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. Preseason is already heating up and college football isn't far behind. It's the perfect time to lock in your season-long more or less picks for the 2025 football season, all before week 1 kicks off. And whether you've got your eye on the big-name quarterbacks or breakout running backs, PrizePicks makes it easy to get in on the game. You can bet over-unders, anything you want, running backs, quarterbacks, any position you want. It's the best way to get yourself involved. I've used PrizePicks for a few seasons now, and I love how simple it is. I can get in a lineup before my coffee, as I'm watching the Premier League games, as my coffee finishes brewing. It's the perfect time to get involved and get excited about football Sundays. The flex play option is a total game changer. Even when one of your picks misses, you still double your money. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. PrizePicks, run your game. And guys, not only do we cover your team every day, but we're also giving you instant episodes after every single game. Check out the Locked On Yankees Postcast. That's hosted by Jay Berman, and it appears right here on the Locked On Yankees podcast feed. It also streams on the Locked On Yankees YouTube channel. Get rapid reaction to all the biggest moments with the Locked On Yankees Postcast. So, Stacey, let's run through a few of these questions as we close out for the week. Brian Barrett 732 says, wanted to bring up these two things if you guys agree. First, Rice is a better catcher than Wells and much better hitter. I think we should start to make the majority of the time behind the plate. Second, Volpe has been playing much better after some time off with the All-Star break. He's still making some errors, but his hitting is totally improved. He should, in my opinion, be getting more days off down the stretch, letting Caballero some days at shortstop, making Volpe a better overall weapon for the team. Would love to hear your thoughts on these 2 points. Remember, too, Wells is supposed to be a hitting first catcher. They were concerned about his ability behind the plate, and David Cohn has been saying a lot when he's back there. Those are some strange pitch selections.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I noticed, which game was it, where Cohn was a little vocal about what Wells was doing behind the plate. We discussed this earlier, which is why I wanted to hold off on the more in-depth discussion about this, because I remembered that the YouTube question asked this. First, though, what do you think of the Volpe thing, where you spell him every once in a while?
I actually disagree with that. You want Volpe to be your ideally, you want Volpe to be your full-time shortstop for the next 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
I don't think spelling him with several days off in the middle is a healthy option, and they don't want to treat him that way either. Clearly, because they keep playing him. You want to get him used to going through ruts and going through spells and being able to play every single day. So no, and also he's gotten here without getting days off. Yes, his hitting has improved since the All-Star break. It's actually improved drastically since the All-Star break. His hitting has been a lot better. Fielding hasn't quite been the same. It still has been. There's been the struggles.
I'm worried about his throwing. I'm worried about his throwing because he double pumps a lot. He also bounces the ball to first a lot. So you need someone at first who can catch the scoops. And I'm always worried when Goldschmidt isn't at first, because he always tends to be able to handle Volpe's throws, where Rice, not that he's terrible there, but he has a little bit of an issue when Volpe is throwing at him.
I don't think it's an injury or anything. I think Volpe's thinking too much out there. Yeah. I think when the ball gets hit to him, he goes, oh bleep, and he tries to force the ball. He tries to force it and make a play instead of just muscle memory. So I think once he gets his confidence back there, he'll be fine.
Yeah, I really think, but I agree I think Rice should start being catcher more, because they need his bat in the lineup, and that's the way to get it, because with Judge back and not playing the field and Stanton needing DH days, I think Rice needs to be catcher more than he needs to be first base.
Agreed. And I think that's the only way you get Rice into the lineup every single day. If they make the postseason, Rice should be catching every day.
Yeah. Casey Cotreau, 70-50. If you could build 2 all-time Yankees starting lineups, one made up of guys who you wish were Yankees but weren't, the other must be all former Yankees, what would it look like, including a starter and as many relievers as you see fit through a game?
I can't give you a full lineup, but I can give you names of guys that I would insert that they missed out on. Ken Griffey Jr., who just refused to play here. Barry Bonds, who they
Vlad
were heavily after. Yeah,
Senior.
There's a lot of guys.
Early Carlos Beltran. They should have had Beltran like a decade before they got him.
I'll give you another one. Randy Johnson. Should had him a decade prior too.
Yeah.
And then guys that were on the team, Roger Clemens, because he was dominant with the Yankees for the time that he was there.
Yeah.
Obviously Derek Jeter, like those old teams and everything. I mean, how could you not? Yeah. You know what? I'll give you an interesting one that I would like to have earlier too, who actually did have good years with the Yankees, but would have been better earlier. Curtis Granderson.
Yeah.
Was really good prior, and then had a 40 home run season with the Yankees.
Yeah.
But was really good prior. And I got to give this one too. Alex Rodriguez. I think if he plays his whole career in pinstripes, he probably is like a Yankee Monument Park guy.
Oh, yeah.
They won't put him in, and I think he deserves it. But I think if he plays his whole career in pinstripes, he probably is there too. There's a few names.
Yeah.
Let's go to Cats 207. I understand fielding is bad, but I believe Volpe's woes are mental. Let's talk about hitting. Wouldn't you say you're being a little too hard on him? Looking at the OPS you're getting from him, how does he compare with the rest of the AL? Second comment, is this more of a statement than a comment? Your favorite manager, can we get a little credit? Beginning of the year, listening to the fan, the season was supposedly over before we even started play. We are currently in a playoff race. This hasn't been a disaster.
No, but it has been a disaster, because it's the same thing as every year where they start off like I don't like this whole pattern that they have where they start off hot. They're horrible during the summer. Who wants to go to watch the Yankees right now? Who really wants to go and spend money to watch the Yankees right now? And this is the time of year where people should want to watch the Yankees, because kids are off from school. People can
Yeah.
take vacations in the summer. You want to take a trip to Yankee Stadium, and they're putting out a product that's awful in the months of June, July, and into August. So it has been a disaster in that sense. Like, I don't like this whole, well, they're going to make the playoffs. Are they?
Yeah, and I'd say this too. I don't think anyone's upset with the production that you're getting. Like, I think we can all acknowledge Volpe's going to give them 25 homers and 90 RBIs. Like, that's a good year. The problem is he was touted as like a number one shortstop in the sport and has 2 Gold Gloves has 2 Gold Glove nominations in the first 3 years of his career, and now is playing like one of the worst shortstops in baseball. Statistically, yes, that's true. And the offensive output, we can agree, has been really good, and I'll take that for my shortstop. But when you're touted as one of the top guys in the league, the next Corey Seager or what you say, that I need more production. I need more than a 220 batting average. So yeah, that is the complaint there. And also, I want to say this too. I find it. Please comment for next week. But I listen to a decent amount of WFAN still. I was a host on there for a while. I'd love to know who the guy was that was saying the season was over before it started. I know people are harsh on the Yankees, but I don't know who the host was that was saying that the season was over. He's a Mets fan, but even he usually acknowledges the Yankees are pretty good. So
yeah, no.
I find it hard to believe.
Back and forth. The Yankees will rattle off 6 games, like 6 wins, and they're World Series bound, and then they lose 3 games in a row, and they're not going to make the playoffs. Because
but no one was out there. No one was out there preseason saying that there's no point in playing the year because they stink. No one was saying that.
No. All right, we have 2 more questions. We're going to do rapid fire. I will ask you both of them, and I want you to answer both of them. Okay.
All right.
Vincent Went 720 asks, do you think Derek Jeter would be a good fit as Yankees manager?
Horrible. No.
Right.
Next.
No, I agree. And our final question of the week from Daniel Danielson, love that name, 2324. Would Benson Boone be a better manager than Aaron Boone?
No, although I saw Benson Boone's performance of Bohemian Rhapsody a few months ago when he flipped off the piano, and that's how I learned who Benson Boone is, believe it or not. He's a tremendous performer. I think he'd be a better performer than Aaron Boone, but probably not a better baseball manager.
Yeah, I think he'd look better in a shiny blue jumper than Aaron Boone. But other than that,
I'm good. I don't need to see Aaron Boone in a blue one piece.
No.
Yankees versus Astros. Get ready, Yankee fans, because I don't know if this one's going to be a lot of fun. And the Astros are probably licking their chops coming into this series, looking to take advantage of the Yankees. The Astros got out of a series just previously with the Miami Marlins. That was my apology. And they took 2 out of 3 from the Marlins. Losing the last game of that series, though, 6-4. The Marlins are spunky and young and fun. I didn't mean to rhyme there. Friday, Cam Schlittler versus Hunter Brown. Should be a good chance for Cam Schlittler to give them a good performance. They're gonna rattle the back of Cam Schlittler going out of the rest of this year. They're gonna need him. Saturday, you're gonna get Luis Gil versus Framber Valdez. That's a good opportunity for Luis Gil to prove that he's back. And legitimately, Luis Gil wasn't a great first impression back, but he's going to need to impress here. This is also, by the way, Carlos Correa's only third series, I believe, with the Astros back. So We'll see how that goes. And then Sunday, the Astros have not announced a pitcher yet, but Max Fried will go for the Yankees. You're getting a good lineup for the Yankees right here. Schlittler, Gil, and Fried. Probably a postseason games 1, 2, and 3, minus Rodon. So we'll see how this one goes. It's an important series for them, though. It's a decent-sized test.
So thank you all for Fan Mail Friday. If we didn't get to your questions, again, it was because there were a lot of Boone questions, and it just started to get redundant because there were at least 4 more questions that we could have had that were all about
Yes, we both want him fired.
Yes. And if you're an everydayer, you know that. If you're an every yearer and every seasoner, you know that we've wanted Boone gone for a while. So, but thank you guys again for making Fan Mail Friday so chock full of questions.
And thank you for the views all week too, because I mean, you guys did a crazy good job. Over 8,000 views on 3 of our episodes this week. Really great work.
Yeah. Also, that's a big thanks to the Yankees for playing so badly that people want to see us freak out. So That's basically what it is. So thank you for that. Malachi, go to bed. Thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. You get local analysis on a national scale. You can find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And again, make sure you watch on Sunday. This one will be hosting Sunday night show. So that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you guys Monday.